2, 3, 4.
Hi everyone, this is Jewish Talk coming to you live from NASA Community College on 90.3 WHPC, also streaming on the iHeart and iTunes app. App stands for APP, Anshul, Pearl, and Pearl again. Okay, take it easy. We can be seen in the studios on my Facebook Live page. I'm waving right now. If you see my fingers, you're right. You're in. It's on my Facebook, also on the out there on the world of WHPC. Fantastic. So happy you joined us today. And this program is later archived on Spreaker.com. Do you know that? For those who don't sleep at night, at 11 p.m. on Sunday night, you can listen to me again. Now, tonight, I don't know what's going to be. Will the Super Bowl game last that long or not? But if it doesn't, you can be recompensed. You can get yourself inspired after the Super Bowl and listen to me 11 p.m. So hi there. My name is Rabbi Perl. Good morning to Dr. Kilshevsky. Good morning, everybody out there. Rosemary Hoffman. Miriam David, Shalom Aleichem. Good morning to everybody. And of course, it all depends when you are on, when you're listening, when you're watching. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, it's all good. So everybody out there listening, I want to make a special shout out for those who are actually listening on the radio, which is the most legitimate platform for this program. I want to let you know how much I appreciate you joining us every Sunday morning. I meet certain people in the post office and other places, and they tell me they listen. I can't believe that people are actually listening. I understand there's people watching, but watching, you don't even know if they're really watching. They say they're watching. Listening, I know for sure they have to be listening. Any case, seriously, good morning. Good morning to Renee Jackson, to Patty Fuchs, and to everybody out there in the world of internet. So, we're going to first talk about Moses. Moses was commanded to appoint his brother high priest, and the one who would be performing all the services in the tabernacles. And much of the Torah portion that we read yesterday, that is, Tetzaveh, which was my bar mitzvah parsha, is dedicated to the detailed description of the 8 garments of the high priest. He used to, as a high priest, he had special 8 garments. And God commanded Moses, you shall make these holy garments for your brother Aaron, for lechavod u'lesefares, for your honor and for your glory. Now Aaron's service was performed for all of, right, when he went in there, he was representing everybody when he went into the tabernacles. Therefore, on these clothes, he actually wore a certain breastplate. There were 12 stones, and on those stones, he had the names of each of the tribes. This particular breastplate sat on his heart and on his shoulders. It was tied up onto his shoulders, and in order to remind himself and remind the people that everything he did, he was on behalf of everybody. So it reminded him, and everybody knew that he was representing them. But what's interesting is that not only were the names of the tribes written in these 12 individual stones on his what is known as the breastplate, the Kohen, he carried another 2 sets of stones, which were on his shoulders, and on there were only there was two stones where each 6 tribes on each. So let me recount. On the Kohen, on his breastplate that he wore on his chest, it contained 12 precious stones, on which were inscribed the names of the 12 tribes. Okay. But now, on the ephod, which was like an apron-like garment that was worn on the back of the priest, it had straps that reached over his shoulders, and the shoulder straps contained 2 stones upon which the names of the children of Israel were engraved. But instead of 12 stones that we had on the breastplate, there were only 2 stones. It's called 2 Shoyam stones, upon which were engraved the names of the sons of the tribes. 6 on one and 6 on the other. And you're saying to yourself, what does the Rabbi Hakan Chainik over here? What is he talking about? My question is, I don't know how you could sleep last night. Dr. Kilshevsky couldn't sleep thinking about this. Why do we need the names engraved twice? Once on a set of 2 stones, 6 on each, and then on a breastplate where you had all 12 on individual 12 stones. So why change it from 1 tribe on each of 12 stones to 6 tribes on 2 stones? First, let's analyze for a second. Where those articles of clothing sat on the person, on the high priest. The Kohen, the breastplate, sat on his heart. The other 2 stones, called the Shoyam stones, they sat attached to the ephod which covered his back. That's very significant. You see, we all have a heart, what's in front of us, the passion, and then we also certain things we do, we wear, we have it. The Kohen on the breastplate sat on the heart of the high priest. That represents a person who leads a very healthy spiritual life. He's imbued with passion, with feeling, like the heart. The names placed upon the heart represent a life where one does not only take the right action, but does so with a full heart, with love and excitement, as well as a reverence for the holiness of what you're doing. So, yes, on the one hand, everybody, we follow the same set of commandments, but each one of us have our own unique personality when we're doing it, right? All of us may pray from the same book, same prayer book, but we can surely appreciate sometimes we're into the davening, sometimes we're just saying words, sometimes we're just, scanning the page. Sometimes we may be saying the words, but we're already outside thinking about the Super Bowl. So everybody approaches it differently. So this truth is expressed in the individuality of the tribe stones. This first set of stones on the heart represent what you do when you're doing that. So everyone is individually. Some people have this set of heart, this set of feelings, this set of outlook. No 2 tribes are exactly the same. There's always an individuality to each tribe, or in a more particular sense to each and every one of us. Just as no 2 people perform one mitzvah with the same feeling and intention. This was celebrated, that individuality, and is cherished on the Kohen, on the breastplate. But at the same time, the same names were grouped together on that ephod, where it's just tied to that ephod, this apron-like. That represents the collectiveness, the unity of everybody. We're all part of that group. Everybody does it. How we do it, that's where we individualize. But in a more broader sense, there's always a balance between the community and then the individual within that community. Along comes the high priest. This is the Kohen. He wore 2 sets of stones because he was representing not just only those who are fully into it, fully with their heart, but even those who are just going through the action. He can't be satisfied with leading only those who've established a very open and revealed emotional bond with the cause. So he also wore a ephod. This was worn on the back, which represents the person who may be doing the right action, but he has no heart, so to speak. He's doing without feeling, without the connection. It's like the person who shows up at the Seder. He comes to the Seder, but his heart isn't there. His heart hasn't arrived yet because he sent it by Amazon. No, because he would rather be somewhere else. So in the action devoid of emotion, we're all equal. Everybody does the same thing, right? Everybody gets up in the morning, has breakfast. Somebody gets up and has breakfast, makes sure, it's healthy. Another person makes sure that he makes the blessing beforehand. He sits down. Right? We all approach our individual actions with our own personality. But at the same time, we're all doing things. We're all eating breakfast. Send me over here. There are those who do mitzvahs with a full heart, and then those who do the mitzvahs, but they have to catch up. Or in a broader sense, there's the unity of community, at the same time recognizing the importance of the individual. So therefore, there was the second set of ephod on the ephod where there were 6 and 6 were grouped together. And therefore the high priest represents and inspires us all. And therefore the Torah, at the end of the day, what's so fascinating is the way this back apron, called the ephod, came over the shoulders. It was actually attached to the breastplate. Both were connected together. They were attached to each other. What is it? What's the message for us? What's the inspiration for us? Even if a person doesn't feel connected to the practices of who they are, they may feel that they are disconnected. Okay, I'm going through the actions. I don't feel part of the community. I don't feel part of anything. A long comes and tells us from the way Aaron was dressed, it was both. One should never get carried away, even if you're so passionate. Please remember those who may be just going through the actions. They too, what they're doing also counts. And the person who's just going through the actions also must know that he's still part of the community and will work harder to be able to catch up with everybody else. So this is all kind of introduction to clothes. Do the clothes make the man? And we had a big conversation in the synagogue this Shabbos about that. How many people come to shul or come wherever, put on the nicest clothes or whatever, and they're full of it, right? They dress up and they look like $1 million, but they're full of it. There's nothing inside. It's empty. So isn't there a certain sense of fake in the way we dress? And here we find the Torah makes a big deal about the way Aaron should be dressed. 8 for the high priest, 4 for the regular guy. Meanwhile, good morning to Gus, to Sharon Jacobs. Thank you, Boker Tov. Laura May. What happened to you, Laura? You disappeared. We had so much extra food here at the Kiddush. Thank you, Laura. Lavana, thank you so much for your beautiful thoughts and your notes. Let's say hello to Brian Allen. My goodness, this is good. And Brian always has deep intellectual comments to make. It's just amazing the kind of quality people that I have with Brian Allen. Unbelievable. So do the clothes make a man? And if you look through our history, clothes weren't exactly always on the top shelf. Let's go through it very quickly. Jacob dresses up like Esau, so he faked it out. The brothers put blood on that special Sonis Pasim that Joseph was wearing. They faked it out that he was a fake and that he was dead. Later on, the wife of Potiphar, who wanted to seduce Joseph, she fakes out with the coat that she grabbed from him to pretend that he was trying to seduce her. We find these clothes constantly in the world of the column of fake, phony, and fraud, right? So how do we understand this? And here we find a very big deal being made about the clothes. How important it was. If they were mechusa begadim, they came into the temple without the proper clothes. Gavald. We were on high alert for this. How could this be? Good morning to Sargon Warda. Thank you. Shalom Aleichem to Denise Zelikson. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. So when it comes to clothes, right? Who doesn't remember as young children being made to wear certain clothes that we didn't like? Then as we got older, fighting at times with our parents over the clothes that we loved. I want to wear this suit. I want to wear that. So, of course, our only defense at that time was to grow out of those clothes as quickly as possible, or find a way to make sure the garment meets a premature demise, if you know what I'm talking about. So, welcome to Michael, all the way from Germany. Thank you so much for joining us here. So, as soon as our parents stopped telling us what we could or couldn't wear, society began to do its job. Right? And then everybody now dresses the way society is. Gavalt. This is for real. There was pressure to dress for success, right? Although we weren't always sure whose idea of success we were even dressing for. So part of this cultural view is this often stated idiom, clothes make the man. But we bristled at the idea of such a shallow society, unable to see for us, for whom we were, we didn't kind of buy in, didn't want to buy into creating this external reality via the perceptions of others. So, Why are we putting on these clothes, certain style clothes, when we may not be there? We not be there. Why put on the fake, phony, and fraud kind of thing? And here we have the Torah portion, Tetzaveh, almost exclusively with the elaborate clothing and the intricate and ornate vestments and the clothes that Aaron the high priest wore as he entered the tabernacle. Without this regal and distinctive garb, he could not perform his service. He couldn't walk into the temple with dungarees or Bermuda shorts or Levi jeans, unless he was a Levi. But he was a Kohen. He couldn't wear Levi jeans either. So why? Why? I can just hear Aaron's mother yelling, Aaron, Aaron, put your priestly robes on already, and don't argue with me. Let's go. God's waiting. Come on. Is this nothing more than the clothes make the high priest? What's going on here? Some commentators state that the purpose of these vestments was for the Jewish people, the congregants, to recognize the unique and spiritual stature of this high priest. That suggests that our teenage angst was justified. It's all about other perceptions and external reality. But that would be very, very superficial understanding. Here's my point. What if the outer garments we wear affect us in an internal level, which in turn can create a new external reality? So which is it? External or internal reality? You see, the Torah tells us, it describes these clothes as being lekavod v'lucifaris, for splendor and glory, for Aaron. So you may think that these two words mean basically the same thing, splendor and glory. They don't. Glory refers to our God-given qualities, each of our innate strengths and gifts, like the individual name on the breastplate. And splendor, on the other hand, refers to what we do with them. Right? I know it's one of these best-kept secrets. God blesses us with so many talents and abilities, and we leave them to the side. Glory and splendor. Glory refers to those innate strengths and gifts, and then, of course, is what we do with them. There is a saying that our life is a gift from God, but that which we do with that life is our gift back to God. In order to make that remotely meaningful, we have to understand the exalted essence of a human being. That's a challenge at any time. But put yourselves in Aaron's shoes or sandals for a moment. Aaron the high priest. He's there taking up the task of representing his people as a high priest. We usually think that attitude drives behavior. That makes sense. After all, we see how our actions flow from our beliefs and our thoughts. Torah tells us, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're sitting, Torah tells us that the reverse is just as true. Just as true, if not more so. So again, we typically see our actions coming from our beliefs and our thoughts from the inside. Torah tells us the reverse is just as true, that what goes on the inside can be affected on what is going on the outside. For Aaron to assume his role and to serve as a proper leader, he needed to feel worthy to understand his inherent royal nature. These holy vestments, as well as the oil that was used, were vehicles to get to that truth. Interestingly, nothing could serve as a barrier, not even as much as a bandage, between Aaron's body and his clothes. This prohibition is meant to teach us that the physical and emotional impediments we place between holiness and ourselves and between God and ourselves are foreign objects that just don't belong there. So again, we're all glorious. We all, each and every one of us, certainly those who've made the conscious decision to join us every Sunday morning, we're all glorious. We all have God-given qualities and unique strengths and talents. But unless we know that they are there, we can't tap into them. Unless we know who we are, we can't comprehend our mission and begin to actualize our potential. So thinking now, this is the lesson of Tetzaveh. We ourselves, from time to time, must clothe ourselves in new behaviors and new ways of being to remove barriers and create a new internal reality sourced in our glorious essence, so that we can reveal a new external reality and create the splendid life that we're all meant to live. Fascinating idea. Clothes do make the person. Not to say a person should be faking it, but from time to time, a person can live up to the expectations and the potential of what they really are. So, put it in practicality. Internalize and actualize. Think about this. If you could imagine your life as the gift you want to give to God, what would your life look like? Again, if you could imagine your life as the gift you want to give to God, what would your life look like? A second idea. Are feelings of unworthiness or the fear that you're not up to the task holding you back in your life, whether it's in your career or relationship or personal growth? Why not list a few examples where you feel this way? Number 3, how can you use the situations that we've discussed and take a fake it till you reveal it approach? Think of practical ways you can start acting the way you would want to become your new truth. So, flying today, I'm going on to another little subject here, but I want to say thank you to Denise Zellickson, as well as Linda, Isaac Klein, Isaac Dalim, Hoishia. No, this is Isaac Klein. Shalom Aleichem. Thank you so much. Okay, and everybody joining us this morning. I'm really, really appreciate it. And guess what? I've even got people telling me that it's snowing outside. They think that I'm living in some sort of a rock. They have to tell me that it's snowing. Good. Very good. Excellent. So, by the way, flying, right? When's the last time you went flying? It's a far cry from what it used to be a few years ago. And you go over there. I hate this part of it, going through the security. You know, it seems that every day a new security measure is introduced. First, take off your shoes. I tell them it's not the temple. In the temple, I take off my shoes in the temple in Jerusalem. Go and talk to a TSA man and tell him it's not a temple. And then I was gifted when I was 40 a leather belt. A Zoifel metal, I always have to take off my belt. You can understand when you take off your belt, everything starts to fall. It's gefährlich for me. Laptops, I made a mistake. I left my laptop inside my bag in the carry. I said, I'm not going to take on my laptop. I'm going to leave it in the luggage. When I get to my destination, every time there's a note, we open up your bag to check your laptop. I'm a shagas. Laptops have to be taken out of their bags, and absolutely no vegetation of any kind. I wanted to bring in some cholent, some stuffed derma. They went mishiga. What are you talking? What is this? A kitchen? Another kitchen? I said, don't mess with my chicken and don't mess with my cholent. Anyway, you see, it's not so easy to travel these days. I'll talk about the fees. The fees. There's a regular tax, there's a federal tax, and then there is a fuel surcharge. They're going to soon be charging us for wearing our masks. Understand? If you are found wearing the mask, you're going to be charged for that. And if you're found not wearing it, you're going to be charged anyway. And this tax, 9/11 tax, all kinds of hidden dollars. Somehow, by the time you get there, you spent a fortune. Then, of course, there's other changes. The one, to me, the most annoying one is baggage. Oh, the baggage rate. Can you imagine? Imagine, I have to pay to bring on my belongings with me on the plane. Unbelievable. I mean, not too long ago, you could take 2 bags on, each weighing over 70 pounds in every flight. These days, you're lucky if you can bring 1 suitcase aboard and not have to pay for it. Imagine. You got to pay to bring your belongings with you on the plane. Simply unbelievable. Once you have paid for your bag, there's always a worry that it will be overweight. Then you have 2 choices. Either you leave some of your precious belongings right there at the check-in counter. I've seen check-in counters filled with schmatters and bedgewand. I don't want people travel with. or you have to pay an astronomical $20, $30 for every ounce over the limit. And this may be a slight exaggeration, but in all seriousness, what does it matter if your bag weighs 2 pounds more than it should? So often the person in front of you only use half of their baggage allowance anyway. So can't you use some of the weight that this guy didn't use? They have the space on the plane. So what's going on here with all these rules? Maybe there's something to learn from the strict regulations. By the way, that's the reason why I'm talking about this. Is surrounding these baggage weight restrictions. In life, we all carry with us a suitcase in which we pack various parts of our lives. One by one, we place inside our luggage childhood memories, positive experiences, negative encounters, happy occasions, stressful moments, joys or celebrations, Gewalt, difficult challenges, and more. On our journey, we take this suitcase with us. And more we place inside, the heavier it becomes. At points, it can become so heavy that we just can't carry it anymore. This gives true meaning to the saying, carrying a grudge. The more one carries, the more bogged down and weighted they become. Just like at the airport, there's a limit to how much we can carry with us. It is then that we have to reevaluate our reasoning for traveling, consider our final destination, sort out our belongings, and identify which items we want truly to take with us and which no longer we need to hold on to. Like, throw out the schmatters. Enough already. People have the same schmatters that they had when they were babies. They still have to hang on over there in the garage. I don't know why people have garages anymore. They don't use it for cars. More schmatters and more things, and they henkt and schmenkt. I don't know what's going on. The truth is, everything in life has its purpose, its time, and its place. Even difficult periods are a chance for us to mold ourselves and develop our character. What about the bitter moments when we have reason to be hurt or angry with another? We think to ourselves, they can't treat me like that. What right do they have? We may even decide not to interact with that person anymore. But where does this leave us in our suitcase? You see, does this allow us to travel lighter? If we carry so much garbage, so much, spiritual garbage, does it slow us down? Along comes the Torah portion this week, and Moshe's name is not mentioned even once. Why is that? Because he was willing to give up himself to save his people after the sin of the golden calf. Sometimes we learn from Moshe Rabbeinu, even such a great person, sometimes let go, and God listened to him and forgave. My dear friends, what we learn from all of this is we must free ourselves from these things and to carry around the grudges. If God found within himself to forgive, Gewalt, that's the most profound lesson for us. When someone does something that upsets us, rather than holding on to it and carrying and schlepping it to Florida back and forth and putting out, instead, leave it aside. And that's the most powerful tool we hold is the ability to forgive, not only others, but ourselves as well. This is your host, Rabbi Perl. Thank you so much for joining. Stay well. Stay tuned. And ladies and gentlemen, it's snowing outside. Oh, Gewalt. I know you didn't know that. Have a wonderful week.